So let's get started with our first stretching technique. Nothing too heavy, pretty straightforward, but a great thing to implement into your guitar playing that's going to be able to help you in loads of ways. First little things to talk about, which you might already be aware of, but I'm going to cover them very quickly, is to place your wrist down onto your bridge, not coming too far across, because otherwise we'll add that palm mewing. Sounds cool, but not what we're after at the moment. So we slide it back a little bit so our notes are nice and open. And then the other thing we want to make sure we're doing is our wrist is hanging nice and low. Thumb pretty central on the back of the neck, wrist hanging nice and low, because if that wrist is too far up, it really restricts how far we can stretch our fingers out. Hang that wrist low, we get a lot more expansion in our hand and our fingers, which is exactly what we want to be doing right now. So we're going to start just by playing 1, 2, 3, 4 on the first 4 frets of the lowest E string. So as always, we make sure our first finger is tucked nicely behind that first fret. Not on the fret, we start to lose the note, just tucked nicely behind it. Hand is resting down on that bridge. We're going to play a 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might also notice there as well that I am alternating the down, up picking pattern with my picking hand. So my guitar pick is going down on the first fret, up, down, up. That's a really important technique to get early on because it will really help the speed at which you can play at. If we're just going down, it works, but if we want to build speed going forward, that down, up picking pattern will really help. So play that for me, that 1, 2, 3, 4. Tips of the fingers. So we're not using too much of the pad of the finger. We're nice on our tips of the fingers so we can get that real good arc, that nice curve in the wrist and the fingers. Just playing 1, 2, 3, 4. Once we've played that, we want to slide that whole shape up to 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've played 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide everything as a unit. Our first finger being our anchor and our starting point again, and we play 5, 6, 7, 8. And we want that smooth transition between the two, so we don't miss a beat. If you wasn't looking, you wouldn't know that someone had slid their hand from the first 4 frets to the next 4. It should just be consistent. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. As with everything with guitar playing, any instrument playing, pretty much anything you learn, start nice and slow. Make sure every note's clear. We're in a good position, and then we slide. Once you've played 5, 6, 7, 8, let's do 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the next 4. And if your neck permits it and you can get your hand there, play the next 4. Your guitar might even have a couple of extra frets in mind. If it has, finish off with the next 1, 2, 3, whatever you've got. Let's do that again. Pause this video at any point, obviously. Now you know what we're working on. And get yourself nice and confident with that clean, smooth tone from start to finish. Once you've worked your way up, we're going to work down. So you finished on that little finger. We're working our way back. Keeping everything smooth, up and all the way back down. Each time you play the last note of that block of 4, so on the ascending version, 1, 2, 3, 4, as soon as you've played that 4th note, you want to be thinking about sliding that first, so you're there in time to play the 5th fret. The same as when you're coming back down, when you've finished with the first finger, you want to be thinking about getting that little finger to the next block of 4, so you don't miss a beat. Now, a little trick for that as well is something called bunching. Now, You might not always want to use this because, for example, if I've played 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to go back to the first fret, I want to keep my finger there. Or the second fret, or the third. I want to keep those fingers where they are. If we're playing this exercise, for example, or the riff or song you're playing means that you need to get that first finger up to the fifth, when you're ascending with this exercise, start to bunch the fingers. So what I mean by that is, after you've played 1, you play 2, allow your first finger to tuck closely to that second finger. Once you've played 3, allow that second and first finger to tuck closely to that third fret. Once you've played the 4th, the little finger, allow your first 3 fingers to tuck close. So by the time you need to play the 5th, your first finger hasn't got to travel from there, it's got to travel from there. And it's those small little nuances that make our guitar playing really smooth. Bunching. My first finger's getting progressively closer to the fret it's going to have to play after the little finger. Once I get on that last block of 4, think about the same bunching idea, but reversing it so now your little finger is moving towards the fret it's going to have to play in a sec. See how it's getting closer, not too far away from the guitar if you can help it. And obviously that last set of 4, it stays where it is because we're going to be coming back up again. So just think about all those little movements. How they make everything just a little bit cleaner and smoother for us. Bunching was first taught to me when I started doing classical guitar lessons, and the guy that taught me was a virtuoso violin player, genius, amazing man. But he used to talk to me about the idea that when you are a violin player, obviously you have no frets, that first finger becomes your anchor for everything. So that bunching, you'll see that a lot in violin players. They're working their way up. If they've effectively played that full fret in terms of guitar, and they want their first finger to start everything off again, it will already be bunched up, ready for it to become the first position again that they can then build and reach out from. Really interesting, love that stuff, and I love how techniques from each instrument can cross over onto another. So to talk about stretching our fingers a bit more, I just want to throw another little technique into this lesson. We're going to use the A string this time, just to mix things up a little bit. Start on that first fret for me, play the A string first fret, and then play the second fret. Then once you've played the second fret, go back to 1 and then stretch out to 3. So we get 1, 2, 1, 3. 1, 2, 1, 3. Might be a bit of a killer at first, but you can see how that's really going to help expand the stretching capabilities between our finger. Once you've played that once or twice, do it a few times. Finish on that second fret. You've now got 1 and 2 placed down, and we're going to stretch that third finger out. 2, 3, 2, full fret. Trying to keep that first and second finger down, tucked nicely behind the first and second fret. So 2, 3, 2, 3. 2, 3, 2, 3. Once we've done 1, 2, 3, keep them anchored down, and your little finger now is going to stretch from the 4th fret to the 5th fret, keeping everything else placed down. You can try that up and down the fretboard on different strings as long as you're using 4 frets. So let's start on the 7th fret of the D. And the handy thing is when you work up the fretboard is those frets become a little bit closer together. So if you was to do it from the 12th, for example, you might be able to add another fret. Really good little exercise to get your fingers nice and loose and give them a proper good amount of stretching capabilities. So with this exercise and pretty much all the ones we're going to be working on, try them on different strings. Maybe you could do a different string each day. And I can't hammer home enough, always start slow. Don't rush into this. build that practice, gradually build that speed. We're looking to improve our technique. We're not looking to run straight away. We're ironing out all those creases at the beginning. So as we do build that speed, you'll be playing a really beautiful, clean guitar tone and it'll be sounding lovely. Let's now have a little look at how a metronome can help us develop that even more.